Now I have created the contact, so the next thing is loading. So for that, I'll just close this penetration tab. Yes. Okay. We have a very good template for this applying the loads and boundary condition, which is here. It is tools, BC manager. So if I go here, uh, let me apply say initially the boundary condition, BC boundary condition. So I will tick in all direction it is fixed. Okay, my idea is to give a initial velocity to this vehicle, so I will not apply boundary condition. Sorry, I'll go with maybe initial velocity. Initial velocity. So here you have all the different types of loading listed over here. So my intention is to go with initial velocity. So initial velocity is here. So initial velocity I want to apply on all the nodes. So here the good thing is I am not creating any set. I will just pick nodes, pick, proceed. So in the background, a set will get automatically created for me, and my velocity is in X direction. Let's say it is maybe 1000 mm per second. It is of that order, which is very low in fact, maybe 10,000 millimeter per second. Okay, and I have specified the direction. In that direction it is create. I have created a initial velocity in X direction. So this was very simple. Like initial velocity is a very simple loading where it didn't had any curve, or I didn't had any angle loading. But I may be having such scenario. Okay, let's close this. Now it may be required to apply maybe a force in some angle on this roof hat. Let's also assume that we have a roof hat or an impactor through which we have to apply a load, for which I'll just copy these elements by face, element, duplicate original component, maybe in the direction of Z. I'll move it little away so that you can see it properly, but normally. Okay, I was trying to create the roof hat. Retrieve. Here I'm moving by a much larger distance, and I'm not trying to build any a logical load case here. So mean to say, like I have already applied a initial velocity on this. It means I'm doing a sort of impact analysis. So normally in the impact analysis, as I mentioned earlier, the loading will be the initial velocity, and here I'm trying to apply the force as well, as though like it is a roof load case. That is the reason I'm telling, like I'm not trying to build any logical load case. Means like the scenario may not exist where you'll apply both initial velocity and the force as I'm doing it here. Here I'm doing it just because to show you the different types of loading which you can apply and how to apply that. For that understanding I am doing this. Okay, so now I have created a roof hat, and as you can see, like I have moved it by a much larger distance. Normally we don't do this. Like if at all, like I have to create a roof hat, then we create that roof hat very close to the original roof, and we keep the distance so low because the impact happens as soon as the simulation starts. Now, if I apply the force here, then it has to travel by a distance of some audio problem. Yeah, okay. Some okay. Normally I don't think it this variable state. Uh, the problem is if I apply the force in this event, then the impactor has to travel by a distance of 25 mm, and during that time nothing will be happening to the car. So that is the waste of time. So we don't do that. We keep the impactor very near. But in this case, I have moved it quite apart so that you can see the impactor very clearly. So that is the intention. Now to make it a rigid impactor, my procedure is I will isolate only these elements. I have isolated that. Now I need to create a rigid. Before that, I'll change my current collector, which is rigid. Fine. Now I'll create the rigid 1D digits, and my options will be always nodes and calculated nodes. So I'll select all these nodes and I'll say create. Okay, so now I have created a rigid on this one. So my final objective is I want to apply the force, and I want to apply the force using a local coordinate, uh, whereby I can show the utility something like I can show you like how you can apply the force and how you can make use of a local coordinate. Like if you have a load which is coming in a direction which is not following any of the global coordinate, then you have to create a local coordinate and use that for applying the force. So I can show you that, and I can also show you like how we can create the curve, because the loads like force, pressure, gravity, imposed velocity, imposed displacement, so they require the curve in the time domain. So I can show you that as well. So that is our final objective, to create the force in a direction which is not aligned to any of the global directions. So that is our ultimate objective. I created a rigid here, but it is very difficult to make out the master node now. So what I'm doing is just go to maybe very fine. So one node. Okay. Now I moved the node. So don't think like force will be applied from here, because as soon as the solution starts, this node will get moved to the geometric CG of this panel. So I have just moved it quite high so that uh, I can see this master node and I can handle it better. So that is the only reason. Otherwise, uh, when I start my solution, this node again will go and sit in the geometric COG. So your load location will not get altered. So that is fine. Now I will duplicate this node so that I can get some direction. I can create the coordinate system. Nodes duplicate maybe in Y. Translate this. Okay. And nodes duplicate in Z. Translate this. Okay. Fine. So using these nodes, I'll create a local coordinate system. Analysis, systems, and that will be the place where I want my coordinate system, and origin is also same. X is this and Y is this. I'll just increase the size of that coordinate system for better visibility, and I'll say create. Now you can see like a local coordinate system got created with X being this direction what I selected. Fine. So now I'll use that this coordinate system to create the C load or the force. So for that I'll go to our very user-friendly BC Manager tools, BC Manager. So I created initial velocity that you have already seen, and that was very simple. And now I'll go to force. I'll select concentrated load here. So the application point, I'll select node, and I'll pick this node, proceed. So now the direction is, for the direction I have to read this local skew, not the global one. So here I want the force to get applied in this direction, so I'll keep it at x only, and I want it in the opposite direction of this x. So this is x positive, I want it in x negative. So for that, what I am doing is I am putting this y as negative. So this is one important thing to note. Here what I am doing is this scale x and scale y has nothing to do with your directional xyz. What it means is, let me create the curve. So now in the curve, I'll create a new curve. I'll name it as maybe force. See it? Okay, I'll select that. So at 0, maybe 1000. Sorry, at 0 it is 0. I want to ramp the load at 100 millisecond. It may be 10 kilonewton, and maybe at 0.1 to 120 millisecond. Again, it is 10,000. Color update. So here what I'm doing is I'm ramping the load from 0 to 100 millisecond. I'm ramping the load to 10 kilonewton, and after that I'm holding the load for another 20 millisecond. And this is a scale between force versus time. So force is in y coordinate and time is in x coordinate. So this force which is in y coordinate, I want to change the direction of that, or I want to reverse the direction of that one. So that is the reason I am putting the minus symbol here. So in the y coordinate you have the force, and I want to change the direction of the force. That's why I have put minus here. So that is the reason why I have put minus there. Okay, close. Now I have to select this cube. So I have to select this cube, proceed, and create. Okay, so now I have created a force load. So on the fly, okay, so this, as I mentioned, I just created to show you how we apply the force loading. So apart from that, if it is a impact model, then it is our general practice to apply the gravity loading. So let's see like how we can apply the gravity loading. So I will say gravity. I will select gravity here, and I will select all the nodes, proceed, and my curve will be a constant function. I'll again create a new curve, gravity, proceed, and select it. So at 0 it is 9810, and at 1 it is 9810. Here one thing to note is uh, wherever you're seeing the curve, it may be in the material, it may be in the loading. Let's say like I will define the time as only 0.1 and this function. So what it means is till 100 millisecond the gravity is 9810. Let's say if I continue my analysis further, means if I run it for 200 millisecond or 300 millisecond, then if you see here the values are not there, then what solver will do is it will extrapolate the value depending on the slope what you are seeing it here. So here there is no slope, it is just a constant function. So even if I continue my run, so for the next time also the value will be 9810. So if you have a slope, let's say if you have a slope, then if you are continuing your analysis, then that slope will be continued. So that means to say like the value will be extrapolated. So this is true for even material as well. If you have a stress strain curve, and if the material is getting more strained, and if you don't have the stress data, then the value will be extrapolated. So that is true everywhere. So here I am just creating a giving a large time. Even if I don't give the, it will extrapolate. Oh, I made a mistake here. Okay. So update. So just a constant function. Close. And I have already selected all the nodes, I believe. Okay. So just create. So I have the gravity loading on uh, entire vehicle. Fine. So these are the three loadings what I have on the vehicles. So I'll just switch off all the load collectors. Sorry. So that my performance doesn't get hampered. Okay, fine. Now my intention is, let's say like I may be having a barrier. Okay, barrier, I'll come to it later. Now before that, I have applied the gravity loading. It means as soon as my solution starts, there will be a gravity force which is acting along uh, negative z. Oh, I think I did one mistake here. While applying the gravity load, I didn't select the direction. So now the gravity is applied along x direction, which is that is not the case. So I'll just update this. So thereby you can also see like how I can update the applied load. Now I did a mistake while applying the gravity. So while applying gravity, I didn't select the proper direction. So I am correcting that now. I selected the gravity. I will change the direction to z, and it has to be negative z. So it is minus, and I'll say update. Okay, so I have selected gravity. So it is updating that load. It is updating on the full vehicle, so it is taking some time. Okay. Okay, it is done now. I'll again switch off all the load correctors. Okay. So what I was telling was like we have applied the gravity load, and again come to it. Okay, we have applied the gravity load in negative z direction. So that load will be always pushing this. That load will be always pushing this car down, and we don't have anything to restrict that z movement. But that is not the case. In the case of impact, the car will be moving on a road, and here we don't have anything which will do that activity for us. So now I have two options. Either where I can apply a boundary condition, maybe on this wheel center. So what that boundary condition will do is, it will not allow the car to move in that direction. But with that, the problem is car cannot move both in positive z as well as negative z. But that is not good for us, because as soon as the impact happens, there is a possibility that car, for sure it will not go down the road, but there is a possibility that it can bounce back. So car can always move in the positive z direction. But our boundary condition, in the boundary condition, we don't have any control where we can say that it can move in positive z but not in negative z. So that control we don't have in boundary condition.